Hello and welcome to another episode of 100 Music Lessons. My name is David Herbert, and in today's episode we are at the Royal Irish Academy of Music in Dublin, Ireland. Richard O'Donnell is my host. We became immediate friends, and you will see in this episode I'm working with a wonderful student. Her name is Emily. There was a large group present, and we had a lot of fun. Spent a few hours together, and in this episode you will see I'm working with Emily about how to interpret music just by looking at the score. So I'm also working with her on technical things, but it's really important to be able to look at the music and find out what's important and how to learn it just by studying. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I loved being in Dublin, Ireland. Thank you. And so the first thing I do when I go to a new piece like this is I look. So obviously there's not much melody, right?
Yeah.
So when the piece is about two contrasting marks, one at one time and one at the other time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of ABA format, right? And it's sort of like if we have the exposition, development, and sort of recap, and the very short coda there at the end, which was the best. I thought that's the best ending I've ever heard of this. This was fantastic. You're able to just control that. I can't. I wish I could do that. And then, so when we have a new piece, especially depending on the instrument, if you have a melodic instrument, obviously we're looking for probably melodic lines. Maybe we have the line goes in one way, and then maybe it goes retrograde, and we're trying to find all these different pieces of the puzzle. In this one, and on these instruments, we don't have a lot of melody, right? So we don't have to worry about that. But we do have all these indications of dynamics. And the way Carter is able to exploit the dynamics range of the timpani is really great, really remarkable. So what we need to do is find our goalposts, sort of, where's the biggest moment and where's the lowest moment. So the biggest moment is, do you know where it is? No. No, the loud, I don't like to use the word loud, so I avoid loud and soft. So where's the most volume?
Oh, so that would be
Yeah, exactly, right here. So it's at the end of page 2 and the top of page 3.
Okay.
And then obviously the end would be the lowest, right? So diminuendo to basically niente, right? And then after that, where would be the lowest? Anything you see probably up here, right? So at the bottom of page 1 and the top of page 2, right? So you have, and there's really no, is there a pianissimo written? I don't see one, right? So when that happens, if piano is your lowest dynamic, that means you don't have to worry about delegating single piano and then having to worry about, oh, there's a pianissimo later, so I have to make sure that it's less than that.
Yeah.
And then now we know that fortissimo with accents is going to be so we don't have to worry about a 3F or a 4F or something like that. So we can maximize that and minimize the single piano because we don't have to worry about except for the end where we go to niente, but that's okay. So we're sort of being faithful to the dynamic proportions of the piece. It's almost like an acoustical architecture, if you will. This one on the E and the B has the tenuto markings. And we have also with the wood stick and the dots on the C and G march. And so for the balance sake, we have to get the tenuto, the more singing line out and reduce the dot line with the wood stick. We have to over exaggerate. So when I learned this piece, come around here. And any piece like this. So you notice that every note has some sort of indication on it, whether it's an accent, or here we have 4 notes that don't. Okay, great. And but as you can see, there's always something going on. Always these sforzando. Look at this più sforzando the piano, and then all this stuff mezzo forte here. And you heard how light I was playing this. So mezzo forte. So I don't think there's a single mezzo piano in the piece, so I treat the mezzo forte like a mezzo piano. We already discussed how the piano's that's the basement, that's the smallest, and you heard how light I was playing in through here. This basically it's all mezzo forte, because my mezzo forte goes one. Since there's no mezzo piano, it goes one notch above the basement. And that gives me a lot more variety, and I'm biting these a little bit more. These accents take just to give me a little bit more contrast, but the basic mezzo forte is much lower than your typical mezzo forte. It's just because the way the acoustic architecture is set up. So I spent a lot of time practicing, just sitting and studying the music. So, and because I don't want to miss any sort of detail-oriented. Maybe I should work on my technique a little bit more. But mentally, my focus is to get the composer's every single intention. And so that's what I did in the Canaries. I forget how many it took me on this one, probably 3. But each one, there's different problems each piece has, and you sort of decipher and figure out, okay, what are those problems, and then you isolate them. It's almost like practicing piano where you practice left hand alone, where you might practice your arpeggios and then your scales. Like if the piece is majority in E major, you really be focusing a lot of your time just practicing arpeggios and different iterations of E major scales. Hands separately, hands together. That's kind of like what's going on here. It's like a mental practice session. And then the final copy is with all the colors combined. So it ends up looking very spectacular, color-wise. And when you do that, then you don't get lost in this black and white business here that we have, because this is so much information, and you can just miss half of it by just trying to read black and white, dots on a page. So that's something that was really helpful for me to learn. This is across a lot of composers, especially in this era. The Sforzandi, we want Sforzandi and then sort of accent and then really reduce. So Brahms, same thing. Schubert, Schumann, Mendelssohn. Anytime you see Sforzando, just compositionally, you can really reduce after that. Mozart said that there's a universe in between notes. If you think about it, it's really kind of a monumental thing to think about, time and space, right? So there's no such thing as perfect. Perfection doesn't really exist in the real world. It only exists in math, and there's a perception of reality that, or perfection, that we can only try to recreate. So when you see a bunch of notes on the page, and we kind of talked about it in the Carter, about the tempo and stuff like that, it's not the notes. It's the integrity of the space in between the notes. And we talked about it in the dig it up. Obviously, we want to play stylistically correct. Dig it up, and we don't want to be a robot. But if we lose the integrity of the space in between those notes, we can't. The rhythmic, the whole, what the rhythm means is kind of lost. So yeah, practicing drum shut off, very, very hard sticks, if not, just wood sticks. And then just listening back and making sure that what I'm trying to describe, that you can actually sort of, as an objective listener, and you're just kind of sort of like, okay, and not you wouldn't vote for that, right?
Yeah.
And the sort of when you're taking auditions, you need enough yes votes to pass on to the next round. So it's sort of like that's the game we have to do, and that's what people are like. Oh yeah, I can imagine that candidate. I'm interested in that candidate because it's integrated with how I'm hearing the orchestra, and then you get more votes, and that's always a good thing.